Hello everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Smite God Tutorial. This week we'll be looking at the awesome electrifying power of Zeus. We'll be showing off item builds, ability builds, and some general tactics in a variety of different arena sets to show you how to better play this electrifying mage. First, we're going to take a look at Zeus's ability builder. Here are the 4 abilities that Zeus has, along with his passive Overcharge. Overcharge is extremely important in dealing damage effectively with Zeus because it ties into Detonate Charge. Now, you're going to put your first 3 abilities in Chain Lightning, Aegis Assault, and Detonate Charge, another one in Detonate, then Lightning Storm, in order to round out everything as it becomes available. After that, you're going to really focus on Detonate Charge because for each stack of Overcharge that you've got, you do an additional multiplier for Detonate. That's where your main source of damage is going to be, so at level 10, it's a good idea to have that maxed out at level 5. After that, you're going to be focusing Chain Lightning as the main way you get Overcharge stacks on other people. Chain Lightning will do more damage as it levels up, but it doesn't do any more arcs. It always has 4 arcs. But once you have Detonate Charge maxed out, it's really just a matter of putting the points in where you're more comfortable once they become available. Of course, putting the points in Lightning Storm, Zeus's ult, as soon as they become available, and then rounding everything out to level 20 is really a simple matter. Second, we're going to be looking at the items that you're going to be building with Zeus. And first, I go straight to the starter item, Sands of Time. It's got decent magical power, MP5, and cooldown reduction, so it's a great starting item to get. Next, we're going to go get boots, and I usually get Shoes of Focus because they have extra mana and added cooldown reduction, which makes them very useful early on. Sometimes you're going to want to go the penetration route, but for this one, we're going to stick with the mana and cooldown reduction. Now the next item we're going to be looking at is the Book of Thoth. Now this one is the first heavy-hitting item we're going to get for Zeus, the first 2 being a little light on attack power. This one's great because it gives even more mana and mana regen to Zeus, and it also has 100 attack power. As I said, it's got 75 stacks of mana and turns 3% of your mana into magical power, making it even harder hitting. The 4th item I usually get for Zeus is called the Rod of Tahuti and is one of the most powerful magical attack power items in the game. It's also one of the most expensive, so if you're doing something like a conquest, you might not want to get this for it. It has 125 magical power and has 25% increase to magical power through its passive. 5th on the list for Zeus is my personal favorite, Soul Reaver. This is the companion to the Book of Thoth, so it also does 100 magical power, but its passive is what's really special, doing 10% of a god's maximum health when it's hit by an ability. That makes Detonate all the more powerful for Zeus later in the game. The 6th item that you're going to get for Zeus is called the Book of the Dead. Now, this is one of the only lifesteal items that I consider on this build, mainly because it allows for a shield to build up if your lifesteal goes over 100%. That with the 100 attack power makes this another hard-hitting item for Zeus's build. Finally, rounding out our build of Zeus is going to be the replacement item for Sands of Time, and that's Kronos' Pendant. Kronos' Pendant has a much more significant cooldown reduction percentage, as well as a significant boost in magical power. Kronos' Pendant's passive ability also further reduces cooldowns, making it much easier to use Zeus's hard-hitting abilities. Now we're going to look at some of the situational items that can be swapped out from the base build, starting with Obsidian Shard, which is magical penetration, pure and simple, and great for tanks. Next, we're going to look at Obsidian Shard's brother, Divine Ruin. Now this still has magical power and penetration, but the passive here has a 40% debuff on healing and regeneration for 8 seconds. This is really good for gods like Ra, Aphrodite, and Sylvanas, which heal. Finally, we've got the Spear of Desolation. This one has 20 penetration instead of 10 on Divine Ruin, but also feeds into Zeus's cooldown reduction by offering an additional 10% and the passive further reducing the cooldown on many of the abilities. Finally, we're going to get some consumables and relics, starting with the consumable Chalice of Mana. It replenishes every time you go into the fountain, so it's a great investment. Next, we're going to look at the Bracers of Undoing. Now, this item restores 60% of your health and mana when lost in the last 5 seconds. This is great if you get jumped or take a lot of damage from an enemy god's ult. You can get almost all of that health back immediately with this item, and it's great to have in your back pocket. Now, the final relic, you guessed it, is going to be the Aegis Amulet. Now, this one is the Old Faithful. It makes you immune to damage for 2 seconds, and it's great if you get jumped. You can pop that, then you can pop the bracers, get your health back, and be right back in the fight. No problems whatsoever. And that about wraps up all the items that you could need for Zeus. Now we're going to take him out for a test drive and see what kind of situations we should get into and avoid in actual combat with other gods. Now, I decided to start off with an arena match because that's the best place to go when you're trying a new god out for the first time. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that Zeus has no escape. You want to play very conservatively, keep your enemies far away from you and your allies in front of you, or else you can end up out in front and get jumps and have no support, and without an escape, you're toast. Now, Zeus really needs to stay in the back and play off of the confusion other instigators start. Now, you can see here you've got an assassin, you've got a tank. If you stay with them, behind them, it's a great way to pick up kills from the side like I'm about to do here. Kumba just knocked up Jing Wei, and she can't get out of the ult. That leads to the first blood. Good situational awareness there, seeing that the tank was coming in, starting a fight, and Zeus finished it in terms of Jing Wei. A little later on in the match, I notice a bunch of enemies moving off to the left. I try to sneak in on the side to get an easy kill, but the enemy Zeus sees me and lights me up with 3 overcharges before I know what's going on. I beat a hasty retreat and pop my Aegis Amulet as soon as I get those 3 stacks of overcharge. He uses his detonate while the Aegis Amulet is in effect, and nothing happens because I'm immune to damage. Now, as a Zeus player, you have to be careful of other enemy players that have Aegis Amulet. If they have it and it's not on cooldown, then they're going to pop it as soon as you use your ult, or they notice that they've got 3 stacks of overcharge on them. If you pull the trigger, and as soon as you see that, you could be wasting a full detonate and not get a kill because Aegis Amulet will eat all the damage. Sometimes it's just better to wait a second or two. The lingering effect of the overcharge outlasts a Aegis Amulet 2 seconds. So if you wait that extra second, you can make sure that the person you've got charged isn't going to pop their Aegis Amulet, and then you can get the kill. We're still in the same arena match, and I am just itching to use my ult. So much so that I totally waste it on Vulcan there, who just kind of walks out from under the thunderstorm and doesn't have enough charges to get a kill. Now, you can see Ymir and the other Zeus are really interested in those 3 guys over there. So much so that they totally ignore me, just kind of shooting away at them from behind. And that's the power of Zeus. I'm going to throw some more detonates out, trying to get the renewed Vulcan down a little bit. I'm working on his health, and then I see him low enough, and I pop that, and then poor Fenrir gets some aftershock there, and I end up getting the double kill. Barely took any damage, no one even looked at me, and that is where Zeus can do so much damage. Before you even know it, you've got 3 stacks, and then you just blow up. Now, here in this clash, we're going to see how situational awareness and reaction time are very important with Zeus in getting kills. Now, Rama started this team battle off by getting a kill on Agni, and I'm going to fall in behind Sobek here with Suasano and Artemis in front of me. Kumba's going to kind of distract me from the right here for a second, and I'm going to try and put some poke on him, but in the meantime, Sobek's taken almost all of his health in damage and is on the run. Now, I pop an ult over this boulder here to try and give him some cover, and that ends up just being enough to set up a couple stacks of overcharge to get the double kill off a detonate. Now here we see Zeus coming up the lane with his minions, and he's going to join a team fight here against poor little old Vamana, who's going to obviously get killed. Now I included this clip not because it was a great kill, but because it shows the effectiveness of Zeus when a god is otherwise distracted. And Zeus's overcharge is extremely useful because it has an unlimited range. As long as overcharge is still on your opponent, you can detonate. And that's really good when a enemy god has retreated and is otherwise out of range. You can get the kill rather than have the god escape and live to fight another day and just reheal at the fountain. Now there you saw a good example of using your shield and lightning bolt as a defensive mechanism to let another god escape. Taking another look, we see Nemesis trying to get the hell out of dodge, and Rama's going to come around the corner trying to escape Suasana. It's very quickly 3 against 4, and those aren't good odds when your team is at half health. Throwing the shield and the lightning bolt helps push the enemy's gods away while you regroup. Then reinforcements come in the form of Odin. He gets the kill against Artemis, and then I come in, throw my ult. Suasana doesn't realize that he's by himself. Sobek keeps him from using his getaway. I get to use the detonate to get the kill, and then we get to take the tower. Next we're going to see a team fight with a little running around. Suasana is trying to get out of there, but everyone's chasing him. Odin uses his ult to try and trap him, and I put my ult down to take advantage of the lack of maneuverability, but nothing really comes of it. Vamana gets the kill on Nemesis, leaving 3 enemy gods to take on poor old Odin, but they don't see little old me ready to mess up their day. I throw a lightning bolt which arcs over to Agni, and you can see how long the detonate charges last on Agni. It allows me to get 3 charges on him, use the detonate, get the kill. Next, Sobek is going to go pluck Artemis out of the air. I'm going to get a couple charges, another detonate, double kill. Woot indeed. This match had a nasty habit of starting team fights before I had a chance to get there. By the time I get close enough to see what's going on, my team is running for the hills, and I decide to throw my ult down to cover their tracks. Now, every one of the enemy gods steps in that, and I get a double kill off of using detonate after the ultimate. Kumba goes down, and it's just a matter of chipping away his health to get through his passive until he dies, and Agni is finished off by Rama. A retreat turns into a deicide, and I think that is the definition of AoE. Here I want to highlight how far Lightning Bolt can actually arc. Suasana gets a Lightning Bolt to the face and gets the better part of a detonate, but isn't dead yet. However, he's had enough, and he's getting back to the fountain. Now, keep an eye on him. He's retreating. He's going back. Nemesis and I are making our way up the lane, and Odin's going to come in for a little help. I start targeting Artemis, but you can still see Suasano's teleport light over there. I throw the Lightning Bolt out to hit Artemis, and it arcs over to Suasano to get the kill. Now that was on the other side of the Phoenix Zone. That shows how much poke Zeus has with his Lightning Bolt arcs to get damage on enemies way on the other side of the map. And there's another kill for good measure on Agni. Now the next match type we're going to look at is a Joust. I really like using Zeus in Joust because he can use his AoE to take advantage of the smaller map and tighter spaces in the jungle. I'm going to use my ultimate here to give Bellona some cover, but it has the added ability of taking away an escape route from Amaz and Cobb. He's got nowhere to run. I can light him up with my Lightning Bolt and then use Detonate to get the kill. Now we've got a 3-on-1 situation where we can take advantage of that to get some poke on the tower and move the game forward. Highlighting the tight corners and Zeus's ability to exploit them again, we've got another jungle battle here where I can throw the ult down as both a way to do damage in a tight corner and provide a buffer between the enemies and my teammates. I got the kill there on Suasano pretty easily, knocked off a lot of health from the other 2 gods to allow Bellona to press the attack and push the other gods all the way back to their Phoenix. Now I want to highlight one of the big disadvantages to Zeus, and that's not having a getaway. I'm taking some poke from the tower here, so I retreat, and when I turn around, I see Suasano coming up to greet me and freak out. I pop my amulet to try and get away, but the assassin is just too quick, and he makes mincemeat of me before I even figure out what attack I want to use on him. Now, I'm going to show you in the next clip exactly how you can stand your ground against assassins, but you really have to be careful where the distances are and how to retaliate against them, or else you can just end up turning around in circles like I did right there. Now, I've got 2 clips of beating Suasano just to prove it's not a fluke. We're going to go into the Bull Demon area, and he's going to come around the corner. I'll come at me, bro, but I've got my shield and Lightning Bolt ready. I light him up with Overcharge, hit the detonate, and he's dead. Now, unfortunately, Raw's there for the cleanup, and there's not a whole lot I can do there. Here, I anticipate his jump perfectly, and I light him up with the Lightning Bolt, hit the detonate, and he's dead. I pop my Aegis Shield to get back into the Phoenix to where I'm safe. Well guys, I think that about wraps up the basics for Zeus. We've taken a look at what items to buy and how to prioritize his abilities, as well as how to take advantage of Zeus's amazing burst damage, as well as his powerful AoE abilities. If you guys liked this video or found it informative, please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next Smite God tutorial next week.